According to the left, Rudolph is gay. Old Saint Nick can be a girl. The Hallmark Channel is bringing LGBTQ to Christmas this year. Baby It's Cold Outside is completely ruined, and with it went flirting. And I'm going to tell you why Santa Claus can't come to church. All that and more on this episode of Deconstructing the Culture. I am your host, Elisa Steele. Merry Christmas, my podcast family. I am so happy you've joined me here today. We're going to talk about all things not Christmas cheer. Now, if I was trying to be politically correct, I'd say happy holidays, but let's talk about who is trying to be politically correct, because you know I'm not. Hallmark Channel, the channel where everyone loves to talk about their feel-good movies, how they know exactly how they're going to end, and they watch them anyways because they want that feel-good feeling, even if they know how the storyline's going to go. Well, the storyline is about to get changed on us, and now it's not going to quite turn out maybe the way we expected it to, because Hallmark is trying to be politically correct in this instance, and they are moving away from the feel-good traditional values as much as they, as closely as they have been following them with their movies. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a huge Hallmark movie fan. I know lots of people are. I've just not really been that into it. Don't hate me, and I better not get hate emails and direct messages for this, but I think they're just a little bit cheesy. But hey, if it's on and my grandma wants to watch it, or my husband's grandma wants to watch it, then I'm not going to be like, turn it off now, my eyes are bleeding. It's just going to be like, okay, I know where this is going. But with that said, I am sad to see the direction that they're going, and that is moving towards appeasing the LGBTQ movement, which we know can never actually be appeased. I don't understand why companies try so hard to appease that side when nothing is really good enough for them. In fact, even I talked about this on Instagram, but not necessarily on the podcast, but even Chick-fil-A, I'm really sad. They've stopped funding the Salvation Army, and they're giving to organizations that do participate in spreading the LGBTQ messaging, which I think is really, really disappointing. Obviously, they still make a great chicken sandwich, but from being one of the companies that you look to next to Hobby Lobby for fighting against the crazy radical sexual perversion being pushed in our Western culture, it's really sad to see what looks like a cave. So this is Hallmark. Let's get back to Hallmark Channel. So apparently there are petitions, and I've looked into a couple of them. 1 Million Moms, I believe, is one of them, and the other is LifeSite News has a petition to tell Hallmark, no LGBTQ Christmas movies. Apparently, they issued a Zola ad. Zola is a wedding planning service. I actually used it for my own wedding, so I was really kind of, a little bit disturbed to see that. But Zola came out with a same-sex wedding ad featuring 2 women kissing. Gross, I know. If you are a Hallmark fan, you want to be able to sit down with your kids and watch a predictable movie without sexual perversion, and then now you're worrying about ads of seeing 2 women kissing. I'm sorry, but if I had children who are the age where I'd sit down and watch movies with them, and let's just take it to my siblings. I still have younger siblings who live at home. They're very young and impressionable. I would not turn on the Hallmark Channel, just even with the idea of knowing that there might be an ad showing 2 women kissing. I'm sorry, but my 8-year-old brother doesn't need to see that. So here's the deal. Next to them having that ad, which I think is highly disappointing, they're also apparently, according to the head honchos over there at Hallmark, they're looking at potentially adding LGBTQ themed movies, Christmas movies. I doubt it'll probably make it this year, but you never know. I don't know how quickly they roll out those movies. Hallmark, known for their feel-good atmosphere and generally movies that can be enjoyed by the whole family without having to explain sexual practices that offend against one's faith, their petition, LifeSite News' petition, is coming out asking them, please don't do this. Now, last time I've seen it, from the date of this recording, it's over 45,000 signatures. I'll try and include a link to it, so if you want to go sign it, you're welcome to. But basically, they're just asking to keep Hallmark movies the way that they have been, Christmas movies, to keep sex and sexual practices, including homosexuality and transgenderism, out of the movies. We don't need to sit down as a family and then have to end it abruptly with a conversation about people's sexual preferences. I'm sorry, but that has no business being a conversation at all with children, and especially not pushed on them by a supposedly family-friendly station. Now, unfortunately, this is necessary in this day and age, and we know that it's becoming more and more of an issue. Hallmark representative Michelle Vicari, executive vice president of programming for Crown Media Family Networks, they own and also are the maker of the Hallmark movies. They recently told the Wrap.com that, quote, "We are continuing to expand our diversity. We're looking for pitches, or we're looking at pitches for LGBTQ movies," unquote. Ew. No, I'm sorry, we don't need that. No. That's not necessary, and you're going to be alienating most of your audience. The audience that wants to see sexually perverse, confusing material is going to seek it out and find it somewhere else. Most of your audience does not want to see that. Truthfully, I can just tell you that. I don't even need to look at your numbers. I know that because most of America doesn't want to see that. Now, right now, Hallmark has a good record, but I don't think it's, like I said, if they're currently looking at pitches, it's not going to stay like that. They're going to add more homosexuals as main characters. And, what's interesting too is on one of my past posts, I talked about how the media is trying to over-sexualize children. And I got a whole bunch of pushback from leftists saying, where's your evidence? Where are your statistics? Maybe you should include your data and children being sexualized. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I don't need data. This is a common sense issue. We know children are being sexualized because of things like this. Hallmark wanting to add LGBTQ characters. We don't need to talk about someone's sexual preference in our everyday life. We don't need to be exposing children to that for no reason. We don't need to be having drag queen story hours, which is a nationwide push right now. You don't think that's sexualizing children? You don't think that glorifying young children like Desmond, I forget his full name he goes by, but Desmond the Amazing or something, a young child being dressed up sexually and perversely in women's clothing and going to strip clubs. You don't think that's sexualizing children? Give me a break. You want data to show you that children are being sexualized when they've got sex ed classes more and more in every state, teaching children about masturbation and how to do it in good touch and how to experiment with members of the opposite or same sex on sexual feel-good feelings to children very, very young. You don't think that's sexualizing children? I don't need to give you specific data. It's just common sense. Here you go. Here's your data. Go look at the sex ed curriculum being taught in every state. There you go. Children are being sexualized, and that is your proof. It's just disgusting. Speaking of, and this is another story that is unfortunate, but I don't think it's actually going to change. Netflix is actually catching some serious heat this year over a gay Jesus Christmas flick. It's a Spanish film, but it's featuring Jesus basically bringing home a homosexual partner, and it's gotten over 1 million Christian signatures petitioning to remove it from Netflix, although I very highly doubt it's going to be removed. So we know that this is an agenda, an overarching large agenda from the left, and unfortunately our leftist leaning media to sexualize children and also make adults more comfortable with sexual perversion, which lowers, I think if we allow that, it lowers our guard to protecting children in the next generation from the sexual perversions that are being pushed so widely, even at adults right now. Now, speaking of sexualizing modern movies, we know it's happening, okay? But what makes me kind of just shake my head even more and think, have you lost your mind? Is when the left tries to go back to our older movies that have been around for quite some time and were created before this was a massive worldwide conversation to this level and to this degree. Well, it's when we try and take older movies and then push our message into it, shove our leftist message into those older movies. For instance, the 1964 claymation movie classic of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. In New York Times, an article came out titling Rudolph, the Queerest Holiday Special. And it's this long sappy piece about how the writer is so touched watching Rudolph because it secretly has a gay agenda, and it's secretly about trans and gay members. And don't you know, we're just picking up on it, but it's been around forever. No. Rudolph is a simple movie made in 1964 that its general overarching message is about bullying in general and anyone who's suffered for being a little different, but it's not specifically about LGBTQ issues. And if you want to force that into it in your mind, that's fine. I don't care how you interpret Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but don't try and make this a national thing. Just because most of America doesn't want to watch your crap liberalized queer main characters for children's movies today, because those aren't going to be a blockbuster hit anytime soon. Now you want to shove it on the ones that are already currently in existence. Sorry, no, not going to happen. Just no, that's not the way it works. They also tried to claim that Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol was about how capitalism fails, which it's not. It's an overarching message about how capitalism isn't enough to take care of our poor and about personal generosity. But sure, read into it however you want. Just keep it to yourself. Nobody cares. Now, before I continue on, I would just ask that you please subscribe, leave a review. This time of year, be extra generous. It really, really means a lot to me. I'm coming out with some really, really exciting things here on the podcast and also on Instagram. If you've noticed lately, I've been kind of experimenting a little bit with the podcast, making them more themed rather than just a bunch of news stories and debunking them and going through them. I want to know what your thoughts are. So please send me an Instagram message. You can try and message me on Twitter and Facebook. I don't check there honestly as often. Instagram or email is going to be the best way to get a hold of me. But hey, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear what you want to hear more of or less of on the podcast. If you like the new format that we've been doing the last couple of months, more themed, or if you want to go back to news stories. So let me know. But subscribe, leave a review on YouTube, on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, wherever it is you listen. That would be amazing. Thank you in advance. Merry Christmas to you too. All right, so I want to talk to you about Santa Claus. Now, I'm going to have to say this really strategically because I can see a lot of y'all, even faithful listeners who usually agree with me on most, not agreeing with me on this particular topic. And I know I'm going to offend some church-going people. But let's talk about Santa Claus. I don't think Santa Claus should be invited to church. Now you're thinking, what the heck are you smoking, lady? Santa Claus isn't real. Yes, I know. But the idea of Santa Claus is fine. Whatever. I used to be super up and all in arms and like, don't teach children about Santa Claus. It's about Jesus, and Jesus is the reason for the season. Like, they shouldn't even believe in Santa Claus. I probably won't teach my children that Santa Claus is real simply because I'm kind of opposed to lying to children and then later them finding out that you lied to them for years on end. But whatever floats your boat. If you want to lie to your children, whatever, probably not going to judge you. I'm just going to be like, that's nice, whatever. Here's the thing. If you want to teach your kids about Santa Claus, that's fine. Do what you want. But here's where I draw the line. And I have a big issue with this, and I've thought this for years, and I even thought about talking about it this time last year, but to be honest, I chickened out, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to stir up that much controversy. But here's the thing. I consistently see in different churches, even when I visit other states and I'll go to church somewhere else, I see in churches it's becoming more and more acceptable to play quote Christmas music, but it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Santa Claus is coming to town or something Santa themed. And I'm thinking to myself, are you serious right now? Here we are, a church, the house of God, and we're playing music during the celebration of Jesus Christ's birthday, but we're influencing this idea that Christmas is about Santa Claus to all these children who have been lied to and believe in Santa Claus. Sorry if I'm judging you. I am secretly judging you just a teeny bit, but hey, you're not going to go to hell for it. Probably shouldn't have made that joke. Here's the thing though. I don't think it's okay to play secular music in general in churches. I have a really big problem. I believe that God's house is holy. God's house is a place of reverence and respect and praising God. But when we have even this secular Santa is coming to town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer music playing in our churches, no, I'm sorry, you have crossed a line. Why are you confusing not just the adults on the subconscious level, but the children are the most confused at this point. And here's where I think it gets even worse. I have seen firsthand a few churches have Santa Claus come to their church during the Christmas season and take photos with children at church. Now you might be like, Elisa, yeah, I've seen that too. What of it? Gross. Here we are tooting our Jesus is the reason for the season. Yeah, Jesus is the reason for the season. This is our chance to evangelize to the world and to also refresh and renew within ourselves why the Savior was born and the sacrifice that he made, and God's Son coming to earth and humbling himself as a man to teach us and then to teach our children that message and about Christ. And then we have children strongly associating, just by the nature of our secular Western world, associating Santa Claus with Christmas, and we confuse them further by bringing Santa Claus to church, to Jesus's house, to the temple of God, where Christ's spirit is supposed to dwell and we're supposed to praise him, but we're inviting Santa Claus? Talk about confusing children. Here we are saying it's not about presents, it's not about the tree, it's not about Santa Claus, it's about Jesus. But oh, by the way, on the weekend when we go to church to learn about Jesus and to celebrate Jesus and to worship Jesus, oh yeah, we're going to also visit Santa Claus. No, I'm sorry, but there is something really wrong with that picture. And I do think it's gross. And I am calling out the churches and individuals who make the calls that that they think that it's okay to bring Santa Claus in any form via the dressed up person in the costume confusing children, or even the music to church. I think it's gross. It's one thing to bring a Christmas tree. Sure, you can find the symbolism in the Christmas tree, but Santa Claus, really? No, way too secular. You're playing right into it. The heart of our Christian communities, our churches, should not be playing into this nastiness. I just think it's gross. It's a perversion of Christmas, and we as Christians are playing right into it, and we're doing the deluding ourselves. I'm just so done with this, and I know I'm gonna rock some boats by saying this. Gosh, I'm just remembering some of the people who listen to this, and it is what it is. I stand by it. I think it's wrong to bring Santa Claus and the secular culture into God's temple, into the place where we worship God. I don't think that's right. We're becoming of the world. Instead of just being in the world, we're becoming of the world when we participate in that kind of behavior. I'm seriously not in favor of it at all. All right. Baby, It's Cold Outside. Switching tracks a little. Baby, It's Cold Outside, which is also a Christmas song. Shouldn't be played in church either. But let's say you're playing this holiday favorite at home, which is totally fine. It's a cute song. Oh my gosh, what is with the left ruining everything? It's an adorable, flirtatious song about, it's actually kind of a seductive song, but it's an adorable, seductive song for if you're married. It's Baby, It's Cold Outside. Everyone knows the classic lyrics. Baby, it's cold outside. Gotta go away, but baby, it's cold outside. Don't leave me. Well, the John Legend, Kelly Clarkson version kills basically the whole flirtatious vibe, from the cute back and forth to all of a sudden this song a few years ago came up as an issue, and I'm sure you probably already heard about the the terrorizing of this old classic song, but now it's being called as a rape song or a rape date song or all kinds of awful things, from what started and always has been a cute flirtatious song, showing the sexual tension between the male and female species, to all of a sudden claiming it's a date rape song, which is completely not true. Now, John Legend and Kelly Clarkson came out with a version, I think it was last year, and totally butchered it. Some of the lyrics are, I really can't stay, baby, it's cold outside. I really got to go away. Oh, but I can call you a ride. This evening has been. I'm so glad that you dropped in. So very nice. Time spent with you is paradise. My mom will start to worry. I'll call through the car and tell him to hurry. My daddy will be pacing the floor. Wait, what are you still living at home for? I actually only think that matters if it's a guy, but that's a whole nother subject. But continuing, so I'd really better scurry. Your driver, his name is Murray. Maybe just a half a drink more. Oh, we're both adults, so who's keeping score? Totally a mood killer. I don't know about you, but this Christmas season, I'm not listening to the John Legend, Kelly Clarkson version, completely killing the mood and flirtation in the Christmas time for everyone listening to it. Totally mood killer. Just, yeah, the left ruining Christmas since, forever. All right, now let's talk about other media influences changing Christmas. Now, this is totally switching tracks because you already know I don't really believe in telling children that Santa Claus is real, granted. But if you are going to tell Santa Claus is real, are you going to tell your children that Santa Claus is not only real, but it can be a boy or a girl, whatever you want, believe it how you want it, because we're feminists and we're woke, says Disney Plus. Now, I have to admit, I do have Disney Plus. I don't think I would have paid for it, but my cell phone plan gave it to me for free, and I was like, hey, what the heck? There are some good classics on there, like the classic Parent Trap, love it. Classic That Darn Cat, love that one too. I love some of the older classic Disney stuff, okay? Really great entertainment value there. But they came out with a brand new Christmas movie, and as always, Disney produced junk. I don't know what I was thinking watching this. It became highly recommended to me, which is just sad. And the people who recommend it, I now question every movie recommendation they'll ever make because I don't understand how anyone could call this movie good. But Disney Plus came out with an original called Noelle. And basic structure of the movie, so you don't have to watch it because you will want to tear your eyeballs out. It's so incredibly dumb and just leftist social justice warrior woke crap. But basically the structure is, it's a kingdom of Santa Claus, and when the old Santa Claus dies, the Santa Claus son takes over and becomes a new Santa Claus. So her father's Santa, and Santa dies, and then her brother becomes Santa. Well, her brother sucks at being Santa, so he escapes to become some hippie in Arizona doing yoga. And end of the story, like the long and the short of the story is, it's basically like a Christmas knockoff of the Princess Diaries with the social justice warrioring salt and peppered messaging in there, where women are equal and Santa can be a girl, because at the end she has this, it's literally looks and feels like Princess Diaries watching it. She's in front of like the tribunal of all men who are telling her, oh, your cousin who's ruining Christmas is gonna become the next Santa Claus because your brother failed so bad. And she's just like, no, but I'm the best at being Santa Claus. Don't you know I'm gifted and I'm so good at this. I should be the next Santa Claus. And lo and behold, she becomes the next Santa Claus. And like the whole costume like is fitted and trimmed to her. And then next thing you know, we have a female Santa Claus without a beard. I don't know how the whole jolly fat Santa with the twinkling eyes and the beard plays into a skinny girl with no beard or twinkly eyes and is not fat. But yeah, Santa's no longer jolly and Santa is a girl, whatever you want to believe, because we're feminists and we're woke. And don't you know, Disney ruins everything too. So if you wanted to watch Noelle on Disney Plus and it came highly recommended to you, I'm saving you now. Don't watch it. It's so hot garbage, not even worth your time. It's basically Elf mixed with Princess Diaries, and voila. Literally Elf mixed with Princess Diaries. If you like Princess Diaries and you like Elf, maybe you'll like it, but I didn't like it. It was awful. But then again, I don't like Elf or Princess Diaries. Yeah. Don't get me started on Elf either. My goodness, my in-laws like it, including my husband. I cannot stand that movie. But all right, now before we end, we're going to go over a couple more segments. And before we get to good in the world, which we always end on, if you've listened before, we always end on a good note, because we want to remember that no matter what, doesn't even matter what time of the year it is, we live in the best, most blessed country in the world, and we belong to the only God, Jesus. And I just want us to always remember that the world is good and it is what you make of it. So seek the good, create good. But before we get to that, I'm going to tell you about this segment that I just recently invented a couple episodes ago. And it's called People Treating Their Pets Like Humans. And I don't get it. And I think it's gross. And people should not treat their pets like humans. Well, another example of people treating their pets like humans is I got an advertisement on Facebook for so you like, it's like a pet carrier, front pet carrier. You know how like, here, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll post a picture of it so you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you listening, I'll describe it. You know how people wear those baby carriers for their newborns? They carry them right there next to their chest. Well, they created one of those, but it's a sweater and it's for your cat or small dog. And you like unzip this big part of it and put your poor animal inside there. I don't know if you've ever tried to hold small dog or cat for an extended period of time, but they kind of want to get down. They get antsy and they kind of want to do their own thing. So it's basically like also a pet torture device. And you put the pet in there, and then there's a teeny little hole that you unzip at the very front of it, and they can pop their head out. So you're basically forcing your cat or dog against your chest, probably sweltering and hot and wanting to get down, and taking a very big possibility that they're going to pee or poop while connected to you on your sweater chest thingy. And I just think it's gross. I don't understand it. It's just, no. People should not treat their pets like humans. They're not. They're animals. They should be treated completely differently. I don't even think they should live indoors. Ew. No, don't get it. Don't get this whole pet chest carrier thing for Christmas. It sounds terrible. Okay, now for good in the world, we're going to end on, I love this story and it's beautiful. It's a little different than some other ones that I've done, but a Texas boy, he made quite an impression during an interview with a local television station this last week. He showed up wearing his Sunday best for, apparently they do this opportunity where they interview some, a boy or girl in foster care to talk about, getting a forever family. And he tells them that he's praying to be adopted, and he says that God is the reason he still smiles for years after years in foster care. And I love it. I thought it was so sweet. I wanted to share it with you. So it wasn't just that this boy got really dressed up that set him apart. And also, this is a story from Blaze TV. I should also point that out. He, when he spoke, he was just so faith-filled. His name is Jonah. He is 12 years old, and he was featured on the station's Wednesday Child segment, and it offers reports offering a glimpse into a child's life in foster care who wants more than anything to be adopted. In a Twitter post on Wednesday, the station promised, "We guarantee you haven't met a person like 12-year-old Jonah." The honor roll student spoke passionately during the interview about how God has carried him through tribulations and helps keep a smile on his face despite the challenges he's faced during his young life. "He's brought me through many, many things," Jonah said of the Lord. "As far as abuse, before I came to CPS, he brought me through a lot, just a lot overall." Jonah credits the Lord for blessing him despite what he's been through. "Waking me up in the morning, you know what I mean? Starting me on my way. I'm in my right mind. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. I know I'm proud of the person I am," he says. "Reason why I want to be adopted," Jonah says, "is because I know there's a family out there that fits me in the best possible way that they can." When asked about why he wore a suit to the interview, Jonah explained, "Well, I felt I needed to be proper in the most best way I could." So sweet and so lovely. And I also just want to point out too, this is obviously a boy who not only has gotten through a lot in his short little life, but he's been poured into by someone good in the foster system because someone has told him about Jesus and how Jesus loves him and how God is there for him. And so it's beautiful around. I do love that even though, the left likes to constantly remind us that the foster care system is abused or overflowing, there also are so many wonderful, wonderful, loving, God-fearing foster parents out there, and they are not appreciated enough, and they are not thanked and praised for the wonderful, beautiful, life-saving work that they do. So in this moment, I would love us to pray for the children there who are looking to be adopted. I pray for Jonah to find his forever family, and pray for the adoptive and foster parents who are doing God's work and loving on these children without parents. God bless Jonah. God bless men and women in foster care and in the adopting process and system. God bless America. God bless you.
Hey, you know what this part of the video is for. This is the part where I guilt you into subscribing and reviewing. I know, great, right? Well, listen, now that you know what to do, go ahead and do it.